It's 29 minutes after 8 o'clock here on a Tuesday morning, 97.1 Wadsworth Community Radio. And in the studio with us here, we have Drew Bixler. Drew is the main, but one of two dog catchers that the city of Wadsworth has here. And, I know, Joe, you had seen some information that Drew put out there, and it's interesting. We just figured we'd bring Drew in and find out what does the dog catcher, what's the dog catcher do? But
you kind of figure what he does. You
sort of figure what he does, but you really don't know everything that's involved with all the details of a loose dog. So welcome, Drew.
Hi.
How are you doing today?
Good.
Thanks for joining us this morning. So let's start off. How did you become the dog catcher for the city of Wadsworth?
So I was doing a meeting at City Hall, and I was just leaving the meeting after the meeting, and Robert Patrick approached me and says, "Hey, there's an opening for a dog catcher. Would you be interested?" I'm like, okay, sounds interesting, but I'll think about it. Mm-hmm. So a couple of days go by, and I look at the description online, and I'm like, that sounds interesting. You get to help people and get their dogs and reunite them with their owner. So I told Robert, I said, hey, can I apply? He says, of course. Put your application in, got selected, did an interview, and got
the job.
Got the job.
Now, how long ago was that? How long have you been?
I've been dog catching for 3 years now. I got hired in 2017 in September.
Oh, wow. It's been a while.
Yeah. Drew, I assume that in order to be a good dog catcher, you have to like dogs,
yes.
right?
Yes.
And you like dogs, right?
I love dogs.
Okay. All right. A question that I had when I knew that you were coming in and talking about what exactly it is that you do. Drew, how do you know if a dog is loose or lost, or when somebody comes in? Do you have to distinguish between maybe a dog that got loose and is running around the neighborhood, or
a total stray that doesn't belong to anybody?
Yeah. How do you determine those kind of questions?
So mostly, our main person that communicates is our dispatch center, the police department. They call, all the calls go through them, and then it gets transferred to me. So usually they say there's a stray dog running in the middle of the road on Boyer Street, for example. Mm-hmm. And so I go out there, look for the dog, and sometimes I find it, sometimes I can't. There are other instances that we get a call saying, well, I found a dog running down my sidewalk, and I have it in my yard on a leash. Can you come get it? So they found the dog. And it's not loose and it's not a stray, but they found it. It's still a stray, but someone found it and hold it till I got there.
Mm-hmm. Now, like on those dogs, number one, if there's a dog tag, that's what, and some dogs are chipped.
Yes.
Now, if a dog has a tag, do you or we have the facilities to track that dog down and contact the owner? I mean, of course, I know you put a lot of things out on Facebook for a lost dog. We'll chat about that. But if there's some identification on the dog, can you or Wadsworth track that down? And what about if the dog is chipped? Where does that information have to come from?
So if the county auditor's office has, mostly the state of Ohio, has all dogs required to have a dog license. And so mostly you have to have a dog license, and if we find a dog that has a license, anyone in the Wadsworth or anyone in the state of Ohio can locate that dog through the county auditor's office website. So you would go under the county auditor's website, go to licensing, and search for dog license. On that license, there's a number you can put into the system, and it will give you the information of the owner, and you can contact the owner that way.
Okay.
If the dog is chipped, we at our facility have a scanner, so it scans the dogs, and it gives us a long number, short number, and there is a system online. You can search up a universal microchip number, anyone can, and if you have a scanner, and so we can look up the company that put the chip in. We call that company, and they give me the information of the owner, so then I can contact them. They also send out alerts to the owner, text messages, phone calls, saying, hey, the City of Wadsworth dog catcher has found your dog. Please contact the Wadsworth Police Department.
Okay.
Okay. If you find a dog that has a license on it, do you help to return that dog to the owner, or does the dog automatically go to the kennel and then you contact the owner from there, or do you even contact the owner?
Yes, all dogs I find do go to the kennel, and then I check for chip and tag, and then I contact the owner right away.
And now, once you you find a dog, or the people find a dog that's leashed or whatever, you go out and pick it up. Now, when you take it back to the kennel, describe the kennel there for us. Obviously, there's a place to put the dogs, but you feed, you house, and there's a facility there to very well take care of the dogs once you have them. Correct?
Yes. So our facility is at the Wadsworth Street Department, 311 Broad Street. It's behind the Parks Department. It's a little building there, and we have a total of 9 cages inside that little facility. We have food. We feed them, water them, walk them twice a day, sometimes more if I have time. If I have more time, I go out and play with them. Keep them, instead of lonely in the cage, they come out in the open area here, and we play, walk them, fetch. And then during the summertime, we have an outdoor kennel that we put them outside for a little bit, get some fresh air. Okay,
now you've got a dog there, and whether let's say it's an untagged dog, and you may put it on Facebook. I mean, there's many ways that you have of putting out there about a lost dog, and an owner comes to claim and says, that's my dog. Number one, if there's no tag on the dog, what happens then?
So if you don't have a tag for your dog, you cannot get your dog back until you get a county license. There are some people that can't afford a license right away, and that is okay. I will give you 60 days to get a license.
Okay, now let's say that it is a stray dog and no one claims it. How long do you keep, house, and feed and take care of the dogs here in Wadsworth? And then once no one claims them, obviously you only have 9 cages. You can only keep and take care of them for so long. Then what happens to them after tell us what that period is, and then what do you do with the dogs after that?
So we keep them for 3 days in our city kennel, and then if no one owner claims them or no one calls and say, hey, it's my dog, the dog will be transported to the Medina County Animal Shelter on Deerview Lane.
Okay, and then at that point, if somebody says, we were on vacation, my dog got away, the kennel, they can go up there to get their dog as well. Okay, all right.
Are you busy, Drew? Are there a lot of stray dogs here in Wadsworth, or dogs that have gotten loose or anything like that? Is it do you deal with a lot of animals here?
Last year we had a total of 99 dogs in the kennel. This year we're only at 23 dogs in the kennel, so hopefully we keep our numbers down and just educate the community, saying, hey, keep the dogs on a leash. It's a city ordinance.
Okay. So I'm out mowing my lawn or shoveling my driveway or whatever I'm doing, and I see a dog, and there's no owner around the dog. You just see it kind of wandering from from house to house. What should I do? What do I do? Who do I call? From just someone in the neighborhood standpoint.
If mostly the main person you would call is the Wadsworth Police Department. They will transfer you to me, and then sometimes they'll transfer you to the street department during the business hours.
Now that is, please do not call 911 for a dog.
Please
there's a non-emergency number.
Yes.
The 330-334-1511.
Correct.
It's not a 911 call. You just call the non-emergency number.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
So they would contact you and say, hey, there's a dog lost somewhere, or they have found the dog, and they call you. Is that about how it goes?
Yes. So mostly they would call the police department, the non-emergency number, and then they would tell the dispatcher, I found the dog, or there's a loose dog running around this road. And then they would call me and tell me the information. Then I would go to the street department, get in the van, and go out to that location.
Is it if you see a loose dog, is it difficult sometimes to get a dog to either come to you, get the dog in the van, or that? Do you have some tricks to be able to get a dog who may not come, doesn't come right away to a stranger, or that to get them, to be able to capture them, so to speak?
So we have treats, we have little bones, we have bacon in the van. So if the dog doesn't want to come to me, I have food.
I'd get in the van for the bacon. I'd crawl in the back of the van for the bacon. Just saying.
Most dogs do come to me when I have the food out or treats. They come running, and then sometimes they don't want to get in the van. So I throw the bacon in the back of the van, and there they go. They go fly in that van and eat that bacon.
Mm-hmm, yeah. So
and then you close the door.
Yes.
It's not like the old Bugs Bunny days where you're running around with a net trying to nothing like that. Obviously,
No.
right now. A couple different things here. It's some miscellaneous things here, because a lot of the shelters or whatever take volunteers. With all, you mentioned you do all the walking and the feeding and those kind of things. Does the Wadsworth Kennel are there any volunteer opportunities?
No, we do not do any volunteer opportunities for safety reasons.
Okay, so nothing here as far as that's concerned. All right. What about donations? I mean, you mentioned that you have food, water. Of course, it's part of the city, so there's funding there. But do you if somebody blankets or this or that, do you take donations of any kind for the animals here?
Yes, we take any donations besides money. We take blankets, food bowls, water bowls, leashes, you name it. If something for a dog, you want to bring it in and donate it to the kennel, you can.
Okay. Now, and again, people want to know so you mentioned all the dogs are taking to the Medina County Animal Shelter. So none of the dogs are euthanized.
No dogs are euthanized whatsoever.
One question too is the other things other than dogs. Now,
cats or
what are any other kind of animals? I'm not saying my snake got loose, come get it, but if there's any other kind of animals, do you do anything other than dogs?
No, we only specifically do dogs in the city.
Now, what about if there's the proverbial dead skunk in the middle of the road? If there's an animal that gets hit in the neighborhood of whatever it is, not necessarily a dog, but I mean raccoons and things like that can be a health hazard later on with rabies, things like that. What do people do in that instance?
So you would call the Wadsworth Street Department, and they would, when someone has an opportunity, one of the employees there will go out and pick up that deceased animal, whatever it is.
And that's the street department, not the police. Not the police. In other words, they would call the 334-1511 for a dog, but something like that, the dead skunk in the middle of the road, would be the street department at 335-2842.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Drew, do you have to capture, and I put that word in parentheses, you get bigger dogs, small dogs, so you get dogs of all shapes and sizes? What do you see most of in your job?
We see every size, you name it, any type of dog in the city. If you have a dog and it got loose, I see it.
You've ended up with it.
Yes, pretty much.
Besides Facebook, are there other ways that you attempt to quote unquote advertise that you have this dog in the kennel?
The only two methods right now we have is the Wadsworth Police Department's Facebook page, and then we have a group called Wadsworth Ohio Pets. You can join. Anyone can join. And I post on there as well, and then the police department post on their page.
Okay. Of course. Talk about Drew. If you can't talk about you, you have to have a good relationship with the police department here.
Yes.
In that to be able, so you get your calls or that in a timely manner here.
Yeah. So all our calls go through the police department or through our dispatch center. Our dispatch center is wonderful people that work there. I want to give a shout out to Rick Brown, Julie Bennett, Brian Dodge, Wendy Emmerich, Heidi Sontag, Nicole Colville, Katie Pond, and Olivia Colliver.
All the dispatchers.
Those are all our Wadsworth dispatchers. Wonderful people to work with.
Very good.
Okay.
Very good.
So once again, if you see a dog that is loose or that they shouldn't hesitate to call,
No.
thinking, oh, maybe it's here or there, because, and I heard a while back there was, a Great Dane kind of loose on, High Street up in the North End or that, where there's a lot of traffic and in that. So don't hesitate thinking it'll find its way back. It's better if they just call you and get it taken care of that way.
Yes, mostly any dog that's in the roadway, it's a safety thing. We do not want that dog getting hit by a car or running off and getting hurt or freezing to death if it's cold outside. We want that dog nice, cared for, and then try to get home to its owner the proper way.
Well, the same thing can happen, Drew, in the summertime as well. If it's 95 degrees and that poor little guy or girl, the dog can't get any water, and the only place it can be running on is pavement. The pavement's hot. I mean, it's a health hazard any time of the year if there's a dog out there that may be out there on its own. And the best thing to do is to call and get in. Okay, now you only work within the city boundaries, city limits. So in other words, if someone calls the dispatch, they will let the caller know if it's in the city or not, correct?
Yes.
What if the dog, and again, there's areas out there, many that, you're in and out of the city on, whether it's on 261 Leatherman Road, things like that. What if the dog is outside the city limits? At that point, what happens?
So if the dog is outside some limits, the best thing to do is call the Medina County Animal Shelter. You can report it there, and then if they have someone available, they will go out and get that dog.
Okay, but again, that's not, if they're not available, you don't.
I do not go out anyhow.
It's only in the city limits.
Yes.
Okay.
If the dog is in the township and they come into the city, I can go out and get that dog.
Right. You need him to cross state lines.
Yes.
You need him to cross state lines.
I can just see Drew just need just 50 more feet.
The Baconator. You just get the Baconator. Look, number one, you do want to help though. I mean, just because it's 30 feet away. I mean, I get that, but so all right. Well, that's really interesting, and again, very good. There's just a lot of that kind of information that you don't realize.
Well, that, and I didn't realize that there were 99 dogs last year, 23 after just couple of months here. Still seems like like a lot of animals that have gotten loose for whatever reason or have found their way into the city once again for whatever reason. So you don't think that do you consider the amount is this a problem, Drew, or not? I mean, just from
there's majority of the dogs that get loose are accidents. They have kids, the door accidentally opens up and the dog runs out. There are other occasions the dog's in the backyard, sees the bunny, and then it pulls the chain out of the ground.
Squirrel!
Pulls the chain out of the ground and off it goes. And then just sometimes dogs are smart. Sometimes they leave the screen open and the owner goes to work and they think, oh, the dog's fine. And next you know, the dog busts out the screen.
Now,
accidents happen.
So the majority of the dogs in the area are escapees, not really. You don't see that many abandoned animals in this area?
No.
Well, I guess that's good. That's good that there's not that there's not a lot of abandoned animals.
This year, so far, we only had 2 dogs go to the county. All the other dogs have been reunited with their owner.
So you do find social media being a very, very large part of reuniting the dogs with their owners, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Well, that's interesting. So once again, if you see a loose dog or that, call the non-emergency number at the Wadsworth Police Department, and that's 330-334-1511. They'll get in touch with Drew or a dog catcher if Drew is not available, and you hopefully will be able to get your dog back.
And the Medina County Animal Shelter's number here, if you're listening and you are in the township and you know that, well, obviously you know where you live, but I'm saying if a dog shows up in your yard, that phone number is 330-725-9121. 725 825-9121 if you're in the township and you need to, or outside the city limits, and where the Medina County Animal Shelter will take care of that. All right. Well, Drew, thanks again for coming in this morning with us. We appreciate it. Drew Bixler, the City of Wadsworth dog catcher. It's 51 minutes after the hour of 8 o'clock right here on 97.1 Wadsworth Community Radio.
It's Tom and Tina on Wadsworth Community Radio.